Hello, my amazing friends. Welcome to our channel, the place where you get inspiring, life changing, and motivational that also help you improve your English. Today, I am bringing you one of the most powerful, personal, and unbelievable success story of all time. The story of Colonel Sanders, how he created KFC at the age of 65. But before we start, let me ask you, are you 25 and feeling like a failure? Are you 40 and still struggling, thinking it's too late for success? Are you jobless and feeling worthless? Do you look at successful people and think maybe success is not for me? If you answered yes to any of these, then let me stop you right there. You are not a failure. You are not too late. You still have time. And today I will prove it to you because Colonel Sanders, the man who created KFC, failed again and again his whole life. He was broke at 65, jobless, no hope, no future. But at 65, when most people retire, he created a $1 billion empire. Listen carefully because after hearing his story, you will realize success has no age limit. Failure is just a part of the journey. If you love inspiring and motivational content, then make sure subscribe to the channel. Like this video so more people can see it. Comment below I will never give up. So your commitment. I bring you the best motivational and educational every day. Make sure you are part of this journey. Now deep let's dive into the unbelievable story of Colonel Sanders, the man who turned failure into a $1 billion success. The beginning. Let's go back in the time to September 9th, 1890. A little boy named Harlan David Sanders was born in a small house in Henryville, Indiana, USA. From the very beginning, life was hard for him. When Harnett was just 5 years old, something terrible happened. His father passed away suddenly, leaving his mother alone with three children. Now imagine being a 5-year-old child, waking up one morning, realizing that your father is never coming back. His mother was heartbroken, but didn't have time to cry. She had to work day and night to feed her children. And do you know what that meant? Little Harland, at just 5 years old, he had to take care of the entire house. He cooked for his family. He took care of his younger sibling. He did all the rest. And this is where something Harland discovered his love for cooking. But little did he know that his life for cooking would one day change the world. School not an option. Harland was a smart boy, but life didn't allow him to study. At 7 years old, he started working on a farm. At 10 years old, he was working as a full-time farmhand. And guess how much? $2. Yes, just $2 for working the whole month. Can you imagine how hard his life was? By the time Harland was 12 years old, he had enough. His mother remarried and his stepfather was abusive. One day he decided, I can't live here. So at just 12 years old, he ran away from home. From there, his life became even hard. He worked as a streetcar conductor, worked firefighter, worked as a steam engine stroke, worked as a soldier in the US Army, worked as a salesman, railroad worker, and insurance agent. He did everything, but failed at every 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 time he tried to settle in a job, something would go wrong. He was fired multiple times. He was broke again and again. By the time he was 40 years old, he still had nothing. Finally, at 40-year old, he got a small petrol station in Kentucky. He thought, this is my chance. He started selling fried chicken to travelers. And guess what? People loved his chicken. Slowly, word spread. More and more people come to eat his special chicken recipe. After so many failures, it looked like life was finally changing. But then something terrible happened. The government built a highway, and just like that, his petrol station finished. Once again, broke, jobless. But here's the thing about Colonel Sanders. He was not an ordinary, he was a fighter. Instead of giving up, he decided to start again. But life was not done testing him. After losing his petrol station and restaurant, Sanders had to find any work to survive. At 44 years old, he got a job as a cook in a small cafeteria. At 48 years old, he worked as a dishwasher. At 50 years old, he was a motel manager. But every time he found stability, something he was fired. He lost money. He was forced to a new nothing out. He even tried opening another restaurant, but a fire burned it down. Imagine lose your life. You are forced to work as a child. You run away from. You do 20 plus job, fail at all of them. You started a business 40 and it fails. You try again, it burns down. Most people would give up by now. They would say, maybe I am just meant to be, but not Sanders. He refused to believe he was a failure. Even though his life was a mess, there was one thing he had that nobody else did. His secret fried chicken recipe. That recipe is special. People loved his, so he had an idea. Instead of opening a restaurant again, he thought, what if I sell my recipe to restaurant owner and get a small commission every chicken they sell? It was a crazy idea. Nobody had done this before. But Sanders had nothing. Sanders had nothing to. He was already broke. Was already failing. So at 62 years old, he took his chicken, put on his white suit, and started knocking on doors. You go to the next, they laugh at you. Go to the next one, they tell you to leave. You go to the next one, they say, this will never. And this happens again and again. One time, 10 times, 50 times, 100 times, but he kept going. At the age when most people retire, he was traveling across, sleeping in his car, eating cheap meat, facing rejection every single day. The first yes. Then finally, after 1009 rejection, one restaurant said yes. And that first yes changed everything. Slowly, one by one, more restaurants agreed to use his recipe. His idea was working. People started loving his cooking. And then, 65 years, something unbelievable happened. The birth of KFC. A businessman saw what Sanders was doing and offered to invest in his idea. Together, they created Kentucky Fried Chicken. KFC. And just like that, a man who was broken, jobless, 62, had built a multi-million dollar at 65. Just imagine, one day nobody respects, everyone laughs at you, and suddenly you become the founder of a global brand. This was the beginning of something else. Colonel Sanders had finally done it at 65 years old when most people retire. He had built Kentucky Fried Chicken KF from nothing. The same man who had lost everything multiple times was now the founder of what would become one of the most famous food chains in the world. His unique way of frying chicken with 11 secret herbs and spice was something that nobody had ever tested. It was crispy, juicy, full of flavor. People started lining up outside restaurants just to get a taste of. Within a few years, KFC had hundreds of locals across America. By the time Sanders was 70 years old, KFC had over 600 restaurants. His dream was finally coming, but there was a big problem. Colonel Sanders was not a business, he was a cook. He loved making chicken, he loved serving people, but he hated dealing with business problems. Running a huge company was too much for him. He was old and tired. He had spent his entire life struggling, and now, even after achieving, he still had no peace. He was traveling across America, trying to manage everything, but he felt like he was losing control. The company was growing too fast, and he was too old to handle it alone. So he made a big decision in 1964. At the age of 70, Colonel Sanders decided to sell KFC. He sold it to a group of investors for $2 million. That may not sound like much, but back then, $2 million, the huge amount. In today's value, it would be around 20 million. But here's the shocking. He sold KFC for just $2 million, but today KFC is worth $15 billion. Yes, you read it right. The brand he created worth thousands of times more than what he sold it for. And this decision would haunt him for the rest of his life. After selling KFC, Colonel Sanders thought he would finally rest and enjoy life. He had money, he had fame, he had success, but there was a big problem. The new owners of KFC started changing. They started reducing the quality of chicken. They start using cheaper ingredient to make more profit. And when Sanders saw what was happening, he was furious. He felt betrayed. KFC was his life work. He had suffered for 65 years to build something amazing. And now, in just a few years, businessmen were ruining everything. So, even though he had sold the company, he couldn't stay silent. He started publicly criticizing KFC. He even said that stuff they serve today is not my recipe. It's terrible. But no matter how much he planned, he couldn't take back the company. It was too late. He had sold it. Now he had to live with, and that became his biggest. Even after selling KFC, Sanders didn't stop work, was still passionate. So he started another restaurant called Claudia Sanders Dinner House, named after him. but legally he could not use the name KFC anymore. Still, he kept traveling the world, visiting KFC locations, meeting fans, and spreading his story. He became one of the most famous, loved business in the world. People saw him as a simple hard work, never giving up, and proving that success has age limit. But soon his time was coming to an end. In 1980, at the age of 90, Colonel Sanders passed away. His life had been a journey of pain, struggle, failure, and success. He had lived through the loss of his father 5 years, running away at 12, doing more than 20 different jobs and failing at most of them, starting his first business at 40 and losing it, going broken at 62 and sleeping in his getting rejected 1009 times before finding success, becoming a millionaire 70, regretting selling his company but still leaving behind fire. Today, KFC more than 27,000 in over 150. It is one of the biggest brand in, and it all started with one refuse to give up. What you can learn from this story, age is just a number. Colonel Sanders didn't become successful till his 60s, showing us that it's never too late to start chasing your dreams. Failure isn't the end. Sanders faced rejection after rejection, but instead of giving up, he kept learning from each failure and improving his strategy. Persistence pays off. Sanders was rejected 1009 times. Most people given up long before, but he kept going, and that perseverance eventually paid off. Follow your passion. Sanders was fascinated about cooking and serving delicious food. It was his passion that drove him the toughest time. Believe in yourself. Despite facing obstacles that have broken most people, Sanders believed in himself and his product. He refused to let other opinion define his. Colonel Sanders' story is a perfect example of what can happen when you don't giving up. Whether you are 25 or 65, you have the power to change your life. You can take control of your future and make your dream reality. The one thing standing in your way is whether you choose to keep going or give up when times get tough. So, if you are facing struggling right now, remember this: you are not, you can still achieve dream, and no matter how old you still have time to succeed. Take action today. If you are inspired by Harland Sanders' journey, don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Take one small step today toward your dream, whether it's starting a new, learning a, or simply making a plan. Remember, success is not a straight line. It is a journey with ups and downs. But if you persist, you will get there. No matter where you are in life, it's never too late to and make your dreams come true. Stay tuned for more inspiring story that can change your life. As always, don't give up.